الصور أحب الوفي الأمين الأغر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Welcome to this brief presentation on the laws of Qurbani, a refresher course that is covering the basic aspects from the Hanafi and the Shafi angles. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this an act of ibadah, an act of worship. Qurbani or Udhiyya, the sacrificing of animals. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam has told us in the hadith of Tirmidhi that the Qurbani animal will be coming on the day of Qiyamah with its horns, with its hair, with its hooves, all to be weighed on our scale of deeds. And in fact, the sacrifice that we make is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before the blood even reaches the ground. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells us in the days of Qurbani and Udhiyya, there is nothing more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than making that sacrifice, cutting that animal, slaughtering that animal. Hazrat Zayd bin Alqam radiallahu anhu narrates the hadith regarding the reward for Qurbani, and the Sahaba radiallahu anhum asking Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam regarding Udhiyya and Qurbani. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam told him, this is the sunnah of your father Ibrahim alayhi salam. And they asked, what is the benefit for us? And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, for every hair of the sacrificed animal, you will get a reward. And when they asked about animals with wool, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, for every fiber of wool, there will be a reward. In this course, we'll be covering three sections. One will be regarding the status of Qurbani, the time period. The second will be regarding the animal itself, the ages, the types, and what defects will disqualify an animal from being used for Qurbani. And then finally, the method of slaughter and the distribution of the meat. In this first section, we'll be covering the status. In the Hanafi Madhab, Qurbani and Udhiyya is wajib upon every Muslim, male or female, when they are sane and mature, and they are not travelers in the Islamic sense of the word. In other words, they have not left their hometown for a journey that's 77 kilometers or more. And also they have the nisab. The nisab is the minimum amount which would normally make zakat compulsory. Approximate value today is about maybe 6,000 rand. This is an annual obligation on an individual. It happens every year, not just once in your lifetime. Whenever the conditions are met, it will be needed, it will be compulsory to carry it out. If by chance you have the ability and the means and you miss out on doing the Qurbani, then the value of the animal needs to be given as a qada. Madhab, it would be sunnah mu'akkada ala al-kifaya, and emphasize the sunnah ala al-kifaya, meaning that if one person from the household fulfills the Qurbani, then the duty of it being a sunnah will be fulfilled on behalf of that whole household. It will be sunnah for any person who is a Muslim, male or female, who's mature and sane, and they have the financial capacity and capability of carrying out that Qurbani on the days of Qurbani. There is no qada if a person does not carry it out. The period for Qurbani in the Hanafi Madhab will be approximately 3 days, starting on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, from sunrise in the rural areas where no Eid Salah is read, and from the first Eid Salah in cities where obviously Eid Salah is read. So from the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, that period, and then the 11th of Dhul Hijjah, it will continue, and it will end on the 12th of Dhul Hijjah at sunset. The period for the Qurbani for the Shafi Madhab will be slightly extended. It will start on 10th of Dhul Hijjah, and it will start after sunrise when enough time for 2 rakats and 2 khutbahs passes, not necessarily after the Eid Salah. It will continue on the 11th of Dhul Hijjah, 12th of Dhul Hijjah, and then the extra day as compared to the Hanafi Madhab, it will end on the 13th of Dhul Hijjah at sunset. We'll be dealing with the animals. Of animals that will be allowed in the Hanafi Madhab and the Shafi Madhab will be sheep, goats, cattle, which will be cows, bulls, and camels. So with regards to the sheep in the Hanafi Madhab, it needs to be 1 year old, and if it is 6 months or older and looks as big as a 1 year old, when you put them together with the 1 year old sheep, then that will be allowed. The goats need to be 1 year old, cattle 2 years old, camels 5 years old, and they need to be healthy, they need to be free of any defects. Some of the defects would be like, for example, the animal has horns broken off from the root, or it is blind, etc. And the share per sheep or per goat will suffice for one person. So 1 sheep for 1 person, 1 goat for 1 person. Cattle and camels will be 7 shares, so 7 people can share in those particular animals, in one single animal. It would be the same animals that would be allowed in Qurbani, so sheep, goats, cattle, camels. The sheep needs to be 1 year old already. It's entering into its second year, or if the milk teeth in the insides and in the front have fallen out and been replaced, then that will suffice. Goats need to be 2 years old already, entered into their third year. Cattle also 2 years old already, entering into the third year. Camels need to already be 5 years old. They are entering into the sixth year. They need to be healthy, free of any defects. Any animal that is noticeably crippled, squirmed, sick will not suffice, and so forth and so on. Again, 1 share per person in the sheep and goats, and camel and cattle will suffice for 7 shares. We will deal with the procedure of the method of slaughter. So there are certain things that are integrals that will be necessary that to be carried out, and the others will be sunnah, and we should try to implement every single aspect regarding the slaughter which comes in the sunnah. So the animal should be made to lay facing the qibla. It should not be stressed out in any way. We should also not sharpen the knife in front of the animal. You have a sharp knife, you know how to slaughter, and you do not slaughter that animal in front of other animals. Where at the time of slaughter, you're reciting the tasmiyah, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. In the Hanafi Madhab, this will be wajib. If you forget it by mistake, then in that case, the animal will still be halal. But if you deliberately leave out the tasmiyah, the animal will not be halal. In the Shafi Madhab, the tasmiyah will be sunnah. To cut the vessels in the throat, so we should be trying to cut all the 4 main vessels, the veins, the jugular veins, the arteries, the esophagus and the windpipe, the food pipe, the windpipe. All these should be cut. If we only happen to cut certain of those vessels, then in the Shafi madhab, the minimum is that the esophagus and the windpipe need to at least be cut. And in the in the Hanafi madhab, at least 3 of the 4 vessels of the throat needs to be cut. After the animal has drained all its blood, it's kicked all the blood out and it's cooled down, then the animal can be skinned. The distribution of the meat, the best would be to divide into 3 portions, 1/3 for the poor, 1/3 for your family, and 1/3 for your friends. It is permissible to eat the meat. In the Hanafi madhab, you can keep all the meat for yourself. That will also be allowed. You can distribute it to your relatives, your friends, whether they're wealthy or poor, Muslims or non-Muslims. The Shafi madhab, it also can be distributed, but it needs to be distributed. The meat only can be given to Muslims, and a portion has to be given in charity. That's to the end of this particular presentation and course, a brief course with regards to rules of Qurbani. We hope you have benefited from it. If you want more content, you can go onto our website, you can check our social media, and we make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. أخلص الحب عمرا وسبقا لذاك الذي